Good. Well, let's see. Are we at afternoon yet? We're almost at afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brian Garcia, and this is our E-XPO that we have been going on now for almost a year. Gosh, what, 3/4 of a year since the beginning of the original lockdown. So, of course, as you know, we're here to talk about how property managers and vendors can work together through COVID, keeping up communications, and just making sure that everybody's connected through everything that's going on right now. So this is our bi-weekly conversation that we are back into effect in 2021. Happy New Year, everyone. And so today we have a special guest from CACM, Tom Freeley, and we will be meeting with him in just a second. Let's do our quick little run through of your normal group of panelists. Daniel, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, again. I'm excited for this 2021, and my name is Daniel. I'm the owner of Endure Painting. We service the Bay Area with our painting services from residential, commercial, HOA properties, and interior, exterior. And we're here to serve anyone that's interested in any kind of painting services.
You're on mute.
I muted myself. Daisy, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Daisy Ortiz. I'm a marketing manager for IQB Construction and Roofing. We are your Bay Area's construction and roofing specialist. Mark, if you want to introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year, everybody. Good to be here. Excited about, like everybody else, excited about 2021 and continuing with our E-XPO. I'm Mark Owens, president of Reliant Construction Management. We are a full-service construction management firm servicing throughout the Bay Area for all your construction management needs, whether it's scope development, building envelope, repair oversight, construction defect, catastrophic loss, capital improvements, fire life safety, risk management, you name it. And again, I'm just really glad to be here and glad you are with us today. Thank you.
And again, my name is Brian Garcia with Restoration Management Company. We are a full-service restoration company, so we take care of fires, floods, smoke damage, biohazards. We're here to help you out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But our real important guest here today is Tom Freeley. Tom, would you please like to introduce yourself? Did that sound correctly? That doesn't sound right. But Tom, please introduce yourself.
But the point was well made, though. My name is Tom Freeley. I'm the president and CEO of the California Association of Community Managers, or CACM. First of all, thank you so much for allowing me to join you today. And Happy New Year to you and all of your viewers.
Thank you so much. Tom, let's go right into it. Can you tell us a little bit more about CACM, what the CACM represents, and who they represent, and really what you bring to the communities?
Well, CACM represents the industry, the CID industry in totality, with the exception of homeowner associations themselves. There's a separate organization that specifically focuses on homeowner associations. CACM is very specific in our advocacy towards managers and management companies. We're the only organization in California that solely focuses on managers and management companies and industry partners supporting managers and management companies. There are actually only a couple of other organizations within the country that provide that specific advocacy towards managers and management companies. CACM was developed in 1991, so we've been around for a couple of years. I've been with the organization for, I guess, going on a little over 2 years now, and I'm fortunate to have roughly 30 years, you can tell by the gray hair, 30 years experience on the management side of the industry. So I bring a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of, let's just say I walk the walk and talk the talk of managers and management companies. I've owned a management company and I've held senior executive positions throughout my entire career. So I'm well-rounded, fortunate to have a very well-rounded career.
Very nice. And I do want to say that actually your hair looks much better than mine does today. You obviously were able to get in front of the barber before this latest lockdown. So
No,
congratulations.
I wish. I like your color though.
Thank you.
That's why I use a hat.
So, tell us a little bit about how you or how CACM has been affected during this lockdown.
Just a little bit. You all are aware that the NorCal Law Seminar that we held in early 2020 was a big success. We had a tremendous turnout. A lot of industry partners and a lot of managers were in attendance. As you also well know, and for your viewers who don't, we hold 2 law seminars a year, one in NorCal and one in SoCal. The one in SoCal is normally held at the Disneyland Resort and Conference Center. The day of the event, we unfortunately were forced to cancel the event on the infamous March 12th, simply because the build up to that, we were in contractual obligations with Disney, who took the position we can still provide the services regardless of the pandemic. We knew we were walking a very fine line, but contractually we would have lost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of our members' money. So we had to move forward.
Right.
The governor, the night before that event, put a mandate into place of gatherings of 250 people or less or more needs to be canceled. So the day of starting that event, we canceled the event, which was very dramatic and very traumatic for us internally, probably the hardest day of my entire career. But at the same time, it had a very negative impact across the board for our managers and management companies and every industry partner that participated in attending that event, many from Northern California who also provide services in SoCal. But in the next coming weeks, we worked with every manager and every industry partner to try to find some solutions to the pandemic. The more the pandemic became prevalent and more obvious this was not going away, the more we started internally strategizing to figure out what can we do. One of our missions is to make sure that we stay on top of our industry, number one, and number two, we try to find ways of connecting and reconnecting under the pandemic industry partners with managers and management companies. So we try to, and as well as try to find ways that our managers and management companies can gain and continue their continuing their education. I'd say within a month and a half, maybe 2 at the most, we had flipped all of our educational courses and modified all of our educational courses to be online and reduce costs so our managers can continually further their education and maintain their certifications. We've tried to find ways to develop networking events for managers to connect with industry partners and industry partners to connect with managers. I'm sure by now everybody's well aware that Zoom is pretty much everybody is burnt out on Zoom. So we did the best that we could to address educational courses and develop just fun networking concepts online. I'm very fortunate to have someone that is extremely supportive and far more knowledgeable in creativity than I am. That would be my wife, who helped us develop a lot of online, just fun, silly games, bingos and scavenger hunts and things of that nature. And we were able to constantly find ways of creating the network opportunities. At the same time, we tried to realize that more and more regretfully, that we needed to plan to go in 2 different directions. One, we needed to plan events and or education in a personal atmosphere, because at that time we still weren't sure what this really was and how long this was really going to be in place. And at the same time, find an alternative path, an electronic virtual path that would allow us to constantly engage with our industry partners and our managers at the same time. So the further into the summer we got, we finally pulled the plug on in-person events for the rest of 2020 and into 2021, regretfully. The more we got in through the summer, planning our law seminars usually start in July because it takes that long to plan an entire event like that. Thousands of people and educational courses. It's insane. So when we realized that was happening, we did a lot of research, and any leader will tell you they're only as good. Any good leader will tell you they're only as good as the team behind them. And I am extremely fortunate to have a rock star team behind us, behind me. And we put together some plans to do some virtual investigations and found a platform where people can actually engage directly. We attended a lot of industry events across, not just ours, but other industry events across the country. And they were all Zoom based, and you would end up as an industry partner specifically, you would end up to get pushed over to some sort of a landing page, which would be where you could provide your logo and develop it. But it was essentially just a landing page. Right. And the challenges that we saw on our end was, how do you get people to those landing pages? Then we talked with our database company, and we found a virtual platform that is somewhat similar to gaming. Now I'm an old guy, and gaming is not in my realm of my kids know it, but I don't. But we found it to be very unique and intriguing, so we did some research and put together a proposal to the board of directors, and the CACM board of directors unanimously supported moving this path because they also recognized the difficulties of the pandemic, putting in the almost impossibility of putting in-person events together. So they approved moving forward, and we developed the what we call the CM world, or community management world. And this is a platform that was developed by psychologists. So I think some of you have already been in the CM world platform. And when you're in there, if you stop for just a second and look around, you'll see people actually breathing. Their avatar, you'll see them actually look like they're breathing. And that was specifically designed by psychologists because they wanted to make it as real as possible. So what we did was we purchased an option to include a complete expo hall, educational courses, full auditorium. We have a beach with fireworks. Somebody gave me the authority to put on fireworks shows whenever I want. I'm not sure why, but we have a beach with a boat. You can get on a boat and tour around. You can climb up to a lighthouse. It is extremely cool platform, and it allows specific engagement, not where we have to push somebody to an individual platform or an individual page, but it allows them the ability to actually talk. I hesitate to say person to person, avatar to avatar, but they're actually talking to a person. The world is developed where you can also have private conversations. So there are little blue circles around certain areas within the world. You can walk into that blue area, and if you have 50 people standing around you on the external side of that blue area, you won't hear them, which means if somebody else is in there and you're having a private conversation, you see a manager that you want to provide your services to or advise them of your services, you can have that one-on-one private conversation in the middle of an entire expo hall or on the beach or pretty much anywhere without A, anybody else hearing you, and B, without you hearing everybody else walking around you. So if you take the personal concept of an expo in person, you know as well as I do, you guys participated in them. You're trying to stop people walking by. People are flying up and down. You can't have a one-on-one conversation because I can't have a one-on-one conversation because every time I stop to say hello to somebody, somebody else says hi, and it's like hi, 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 hi. And in this virtual world, you can have those conversations in a private environment, and at the same time, see somebody walking by that you might want to talk to. You step out of your blue world and say, "Hey, Tom, how are you? Come on in. Let's have a conversation." So, and we all have, the avatars have their names above their avatars, so you know who they are. There's tracking mechanisms on the system where you can, if you see a name that you're familiar with, you can actually ask them a question. You can track them down where in the world. You can teleport to wherever they are in the world and say hello. It's probably the coolest, from a non-gamer's perspective, probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. Daniel, I'm sorry, I saw your hand up, so I apologize, but you're on mute.
Unmute, Daniel.
You're on mute.
We were just talking about this. Still muted.
Yeah,
I do want to mention real quick. Oh, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just wanted to ask. So I haven't tested it yet, but so when you approach someone, that person has, I guess they have to approve that conversation, or how does that work? Like
No, it's literally it's literally like walking through an expo hall. You can walk where, instead of walking into somebody's booth area, you can walk down the aisle. The aisle has the aisle sign above it that tells you where you are. You can see all the logos and all the industry partner booths around. And you just walk down. If you see somebody, Daniel, if you saw me walking down there or standing, you can just walk right next to me and go, "Hi, Tom. Hey, Daniel, how are you? What's going on? Brian, what's going on? Nice to see you. Mark, Daisy, great, have an awesome booth. You guys look fantastic." And you can do that. It's not pushing people to a landing page. This is a virtual platform where you actually get to see. You walk in the expo hall, you see 100 people walking around. It's like walking into a real expo hall. You do not have to be approved to have conversations. The only thing you would have to be approved is walking into the private area, and then, somebody would have to say, "Well, I'm having a private conversation. Give me a couple of minutes, and then we'll come back to you."
That's exciting. And I noticed that on your webpage, you actually have training going on through the month on how to navigate through the world.
So we offer, because this is a new platform and it's a virtual world that we're all living in, it requires a download of a specific software platform. We provide that service to help people understand how to download it. And then if they have internal firewalls, and we have to try to work through their IT companies and so on. But once you have the downloaded, all we ask is that you log in. Once you log in, we have people that some of our team members are actually in the world from 8:30 in the morning till 5 at night, and they're there to say, "Hi, Brian. Welcome to the CM world. What are you looking for? Where can we help you?" And then we have scheduled training for managers, and then separate scheduled training for industry partners, because obviously they're two separate components. But both of those trainings include showing people the expo hall. So we drive people, and again, it's like being in an actual convention center. Your avatar walks up into the convention center, or you teleport into the convention center. You can walk or teleport into the auditorium, and then you walk or teleport into the expo hall. And along the way, you see 100 people wandering around saying hello to each other. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal platform. Daisy?
Can I add that you can also have dance-offs inside the CM world?
No, I was trying to avoid that because I don't dance well, but my avatar dances pretty good. So yes, you can have dance-offs.
Yeah,
Mark.
It's pretty fun.
Tom, you were mentioning, this is pretty exciting. It's all exciting actually, and really intrigued by all this. So you mentioned like the exhibit hall, and you see the aisles, and I think you mentioned like logos or a booth area that maybe if the industry partner is actually exhibiting virtually, do you have the ability to somehow virtually decorate as well, or have tools to do that, or how are those booths separated, or what can be us as an industry partners provide there?
So the virtual platform and booth specific, you have, just like a real an in-person expo hall, you have the option of having a single, double, or a quad level booth, and you can put all your logos all over it. Each booth has screens that you can have live feed. You can actually, I did a presentation there for the High Rise Large Scale Summit, and above me, my little avatar, above my avatar in the back of me, where the audience was watching, was my live camera into the virtual world. So you're able to put your live cameras in. You can have your website up. You can have presentations available. It's extremely versed.
Nice. So there's a lot of flexibility that's available in this platform. So that's fantastic. That's good to hear.
It has to be, because today's world is
Tom,
No offense to Zoom. We all live in Zoom. No offense to Zoom, but it's burning out.
It gets a little tiring. Daniel.
Tom, how's it been like the response from vendors and managers on that? Like, I'm sure that there is always the case of like certain people just kind of, not taking it all the way in, or
So we've had nothing that I'm aware of, nothing but positive feedback from both managers and industry partners. I think the only comment that I've personally heard or that has been passed on to me is really just how do we function within the environment? Do we have a platform? Do we have to get permission to do this? From an industry partner standpoint, it's more just understanding what my limitations are. Everything else is, the comments are really, well, how do I walk? Well, how do I teleport? How do I, and it's a gaming thing. And,
Right.
It's kind of funny, but, you sit in an auditorium or you're sitting in a classroom and you think you have to stare straight ahead because that's what when you get in there, you click the little sit button and you sit down and you're looking straight ahead. And you think that's all you can do. But if you tap your space bar and use your mouse, you can look around the whole room, just as if you're sitting there in person. You can sit around and look around the whole room and see who's in the room with you. So it's some of those, just getting people to understand some of those little idiosyncrasies of the platform itself is unique. But otherwise, it's not that difficult. It's a very easy platform to get familiar with.
So is this platform going to be used for the open house, the law seminar, and the spring forum?
So the open house is next week. That is going to be used for the open house. It is going to be used for the NorCal and SoCal law seminar, and it is going to be used for the spring forums. Yes, we are looking at the potential of putting a Zoom spring forum in place, just for the people that either can't grasp the virtual platform, the virtual world, or have IT challenges, or for whatever the case may be. So after we do, at the end of the spring, we're looking at the potential of just doing one Zoom for anybody who can't attend in the world for whatever reason. Our first in 2020, our first in-person event is currently scheduled in the middle of May, which is the Executive Leadership Summit in the Lowe's Coronado in San Diego. We're a little bit challenged at this moment on where we're going to be there, if we're going to be there. To my knowledge, the Lowe's hasn't opened back up yet, so we're still trying to figure out discussions and F&B requirements, and so we might end up having to go virtual through there. But as I said before we started this to you guys, one of the challenges is understanding where we are, and it kind of depends which article you read and who you actually listen to on when things will be starting to open back to normal. It could be anywhere between late spring, early summer to 2022.
Right.
Kind of depends on who, So we're putting all of our money into the 2022 law seminars in person, with the expectation that by then we are long past that. But we're also putting options. We're going to be putting options together for individual one-day seminars, one-day expos, both in NorCal and in SoCal. We haven't chosen a venue yet, and we haven't put dates out because we're still trying to walk that fine line on the pandemic, on where we are and what it's going to be like in the summer. But we're looking at doing one-day expos to offset the virtual platform that we're doing in February and March.
Very nice. Very nice. How can we help you to promote these kind of events? And we obviously, for us right now, we're all vendors in this particular forum today. But we obviously this is all new across the board for all of us, and we're all navigating through this new world and the new forums and ways to stay connected.
Sure.
But how can we work with you to help move these things forward and to make sure that all of us are successful moving forward? So
one of the things that we have found throughout this entire pandemic is social media is very more utilized now than it ever was, for obvious reasons. And we've reached out to our industry partners, like we reached out to you guys when you invited me here and said, when you hold these events, let us know so we can help share it on social media. We ask you to do the same thing. When you know that we have upcoming events, please share them social media, put them on your websites, include it on your emails, so on and so on. Just word of mouth is spreading it. We look at it this way. Not every industry partner in California is a member of ours. We would like to have you as a member of ours, every industry partner possible, because we have access to the managers. Not every manager is a member. So if you have managers that you would like that you feel CACM would benefit with a membership in CACM, introduce us. That's all it takes. We'll take it from there. Okay, we'll do the exact same. We're doing the exact same thing across the board.
Yeah. I think that a concern from the vendor standpoint with these virtual events is again, it's such a new platform, and it has been very touch and go on the vendor side, getting the engagement that we expect. So getting the value out of the events. And there's some organizations who have dropped the cost down dramatically to almost free on some of these events. I think from the vendor standpoint, we want to make sure that there's the value for us in engaging with the managers inside there. And now it sounds like this new platform that CACM is working with is giving a much more opportunity for that engagement, which is fantastic. Do you see the value for your vendor partners moving forward through these virtual events? Do you think that there's going to be the same amount of, or close to the same amount of engagement as there would be in person?
So first, if you don't mind, I'd like to qualify that we don't consider our industry partner members vendors. We consider them industry partners. We try to encourage that terminology with our managers and management companies, because you guys are industry partners. You're not affiliated. You are vendors in the technical term, I suppose, but we view it slightly differently, and we firmly believe that the partnership is more important than anything. So I actually had the board of directors change our bylaws to reference it as such. Thankfully, I have a very cooperating board of directors who understand our industry. But going back to your question, we do obviously see that the value is there. If you look at the cost of being in person at a law seminar, not only do you have the cost of travel, not only do you have the cost of the booth, you have the cost of decorating the booth. Mm-hmm. Then you have the cost of attending. Then you have the cost of the hotels if you're staying there, and so on and so on. Travel costs, shipping all of your stuff there, all your swag and everything else, shipping everything back. It's a tremendous amount of costs involved, going well above and beyond just the cost of the booth. In this virtual platform, you don't have any of those costs. You only have the cost of the booth. Because it's not a landing page, it's not something that we still have to drive people to the expo hall. Mm-hmm. That's still our responsibility in partnership with our industry partners. But at the same time, we don't have to say, hey, go to this page or go to that page. And as a manager, you're clicking 25 different links just to see 25 different industry partners. They literally can just walk down the hall and see you. So that in and of itself changes that component dramatically. In addition, however, we also let the industry partners who have a booth stay in that booth and have it decorated for a week post the event. Wow. So not only do you have the option of providing that one-day service or one-day exposure to managers or management companies that attend the law seminar, you can then use that booth throughout the rest of the week, the following week, to say, hey, why don't you come check out our booth in this virtual platform? And you can have private conversations, you can have meetings. If you wanted an office, we have a full, I kid you not, we have a full office suite of offices. If you wanted an office, and hey, Tom, can we just use an office for a couple hours this day because we have some conversations that are important? We'd be happy to open up an office. You can easily use my office. And So it changes the entire scope and the value of just a landing page to an actual booth,
Right.
and the exposure behind it. Not to mention having, as I said earlier, the access to know all the managers, find out where in the world they are. Oh, Daisy's over doing a dance off over at the beach concert hall. The beach has its own concert hall, so we can go over. I can go over and click on Daisy's name and teleport directly stand right next to Daisy and say, "Hi, Daisy, what's going on?" So it changes that interaction and changes the exposure and changes that, like I said right from the start, that connectivity and that interaction. This is a completely different. It's a game changer in our view. We hope everybody agrees.
I think this sounds fantastic. Now, my next question, of course, is for the property managers and management companies, and the value to them. I want you to speak a little bit towards the value to the property managers and management companies.
Well, similar to attending the law seminar specifically, or just the general platform? General
platform and to the seminar.
So the platform is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, you go to an expo, you have 10 to 1 or 11 to 1, then you have 3 to 5 or whatever the case may be. This is open all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People can go in, log into that world at any time for any reason to go say hello to people. But then we're also doing all of our education. It also allows them the opportunity, we're moving all of our education, allows them the opportunity to get continue their education in a real life environment. Our first test was a high-rise large-scale summit. And again, as I said earlier, the only challenge that we had was some IT questions that people had. Otherwise, people enjoyed the opportunity to be able to be there. Now, you will never be, no matter, we could provide you the hottest, NFL style platform in the world. It's not going to compete to in-person events, and we know that. However, in our view, this is exactly the next best thing, because industry partners, and managers can, same thing as an industry partner. A manager can say, "Hey, I haven't seen Brian or Daniel or Mark or Daisy in a while, and hey, they're here. Well, let me see where they are," and they can click to your booth, they can teleport to your booth. They might see, again, Daisy doing a dance off in the party and go and say hello to Daisy. So the whole interconnection between the networking, between industry partners and managers, is constant and nonstop. It's hugely advantageous to managers, just equally as important to industry partners.
That's good. Tom, you've actually made this pretty exciting, I think, for all of us, and hopefully for any managers who are watching today. So we're about out of time here, but again, Tom, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
This has been recorded, so this will also be available to watch at any time for anybody who hasn't had a chance to, or anybody that you would like to push this over to. We will. You should have the link, but if you don't, we will put the link out, as well as on our LinkedIn page. Also, the link will be on there also. Tom, is there anything else you have for us today?
Stay healthy, stay happy, get into the CM world. We look forward to seeing you at the open house and the law seminars. Most importantly, I look forward to seeing you in person at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Again, thank you so much. And for anybody who has any questions, Daisy, go ahead.
Yeah, I have one question. What is the deadline to get a booth for the CM World for the event?
In NorCal, the quad booths are sold out. We have one left in SoCal. I think we still have space available in both the single and the double. If you send Melissa an email, she'll be happy to connect you up.
Yep. And for anybody else who has questions about that, please go on to CACM website. All their information is up on there, as well as all the event scheduling is up on also. So, Tom, I'm guessing that you're probably pretty available to talk if anybody has any questions also.
I will make myself available at any time if anybody has questions.
Beautiful. Do we have anything else for Tom today?
No.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much for the information.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
thank everybody for watching us today. And remember, we will have another event coming up in 2 weeks. This will
Stay
be
tuned for these future events, people. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yes, we have our next event will actually be a little bit more focused towards our normal panel of speakers and a little bit more about what we do and what we have to offer for everybody. So again, thank you everybody for joining us. And Tom, again, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Everybody.
Bye, everybody. Happy New Year's.